Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.
Yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Schweikert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, a whole bunch of things, and so we'll try to do machine gun, but you're good at this. You've done this before. Since the data breach, one of the constituent work we're getting in our Phoenix office is a number of more entrepreneurial doctors who are having real trouble getting payments. So if you're doing some chasing of, you've been sending the money and it's not getting processed, particularly doctors' offices when I have casework saying they're having to open up credit lines. Thank you for chasing that down.
Congressman, if you want, we insisted that each of the payers, the insurance companies that make payments for the most part, that they give us a contact of who a provider can speak to who can actually make a decision on payment. So if you want to have your staff...
I'm going to have to reach out to you and get
Please reach out.
Because
please reach out.
I think we're writing letters to people. Two, and this is less because this is more a tiny diatribe. If I remember, Inflation Reduction Act, we buy down the price of insulin. Wasn't the cost $16 billion? So we're functionally buying down the price to make it more affordable, right?
Actually, if you think about it, the fact that now insulin is being made available to people outside of Medicare for that price means we didn't pay a cent for that.
Well, actually, no. But we did spend $16 billion.
Yeah, I don't remember what the cost.
But my point is, you have Civica RX, 70 miles from here, making 3 types of generic, and their market price is actually cheaper than the subsidized price, yet we're handing cash to the very pharma companies that we were saying were gouging. And the reason I do that setup is conceptually, you and I have had side conversations now for years of there's an opportunity for a revolution around us if you want to crush the price of healthcare. A year ago, there was a company that came up with 3D printing for small molecule drugs. The fact of the matter that off-patent drugs in the United States are like 16% cheaper than the rest of the industrialized world. It's our ones that are on patent still. The fact that now you actually have some of the large pharma companies actually selling directly. You actually have some of the PBMs going into the manufacturing business. You actually have, my hunger here is maybe more of a side conversation because we're heading towards the time of the quality life year measurements that are used in Western Europe and those things, which is a rationing model, instead of a classic American model of let's make everyone compete with each other. Let's open it up, encourage all sorts of different supply chains. You also touched, and this is just in that same vein, when I'm reading articles that are very hopeful of a fentanyl vaccine potentially coming and things like that, you're the 10,000-pound gorilla, in a nice way, in the marketplace. We're saying you want innovation, you want disruption, the technologies you and I have talked about.
Yes.
My frustration is we do talking about the financing of healthcare instead of what it actually costs. What technologies can you adopt either in the next breakthrough technology, the thing you blow into that knows you have a flu, and do you allow the algorithm to write a prescription? I know that's very controversial. To when the Joint Economic Committee wrote a chapter last March on what obesity, if HHS particularly went after obesity in America, morally, what it would mean to the economy, to the debt. It's a few $1 trillion over the 10 and would raise labor force participation, family formation, everything else. What can I do as one of the members up here to help that fixation on, let's make our brothers and sisters healthier?
Congressman, first I would say, keep the inquiry going because we're heading there. As we discussed just before we started this hearing, we're going to be heading there whether we want to or not, and we have to be ready to meet that moment, especially when it comes to the financing, because the structure we have is very obsolete. It's not geared for these new inventions. And the other thing I would mention to you is you should really, we really should get you together with our folks at ARPA-H.
I would like to. I wasn't going to, but ARPA-H can be incredibly impactful on taking on U.S. sovereign debt and making America healthier and more productive. But sometimes I have innovators that could not get a meeting or return phone call if their life depended on it. We're going to have to find some way to make it more robust.
Maybe we'll connect you with ARPA-H, because they do have lots of folks inquiring because they have real money, and they're putting it out there to those small innovators who are just aching to have somebody make an investment in them.
Well, look, I believe the morality in the solution is in some ways the disruption, not just spending more cash on the model we already have. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr.